Hi, I'm Mr. Mullaney. This is the recap of our lesson on the end of the Napoleonic Era. The big idea that Napoleon was finally defeated, but revolutionary ideals and the post-war peace settlement affected Europe for many years. Napoleon has a legacy, and what comes right after Napoleon, the Congress of Vienna, will have a legacy that will last a good 100 years or so. All right, objectives for this lesson. Review Napoleon's rise to power, identify challenges that threaten Napoleon's empire, describe the events that led to Napoleon's defeat, and analyze the goals of the Congress of Vienna. So we talk about Napoleon's rise to power. Napoleon came up as a brilliant military leader. He has a huge success at Toulon, where he defeats the British off the coast of Spain. He has success leading troops defending the convention. That makes him a hero. And so he's this brilliant military leader. He went into Egypt where he was not as successful, but that just did not make the rounds in France at the time. And so his military success was part of it. He takes over. He and two others become the consulate, the three councils, in 1799. And what happens is he keeps on expanding his power. And the way he expands his power is then he names himself First Consul, then he names himself Council for Life, and then he names himself Emperor. And the way he does it is he has these plebiscites. Plebiscites are when you have a vote up or down. What happened is that much like Tom Hanks and Carly Rae Jepsen in this great new video, I Really Like You, the French people really liked Napoleon. They liked the Napoleonic Code. They liked his reforms, a lot of the reforms that continued the French Revolution. And so every time Napoleon put it to a vote, whether or not he would get more power, he got more power. And they're called plebiscites. Let's look at the map of Europe under Napoleon. And what you really want to look at here is anything in the bluish purplish from modern day Spain through France, which is huge, into modern day Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, modern day Poland, modern day Switzerland and Italy. All that became either French Empire, French country, French dominated, French puppet state, French relative of Napoleon on the throne. That all takes place. So his empire was very, very big. Let's talk about some of his challenges. All right, so his armies were foreign oppressors. They were always playing on the road. They had to deal with the nationalism. The nationalism of the French Revolution is spreading to other countries, and they have to fight against that. All right, the continental system, Napoleon's plan for blockading England from trading is resented by European countries that want to trade with England. You have the nationalism referred to earlier. There was resistance in Spain, and then the Russian winter. After Russia refuses to participate in the continental system, Napoleon makes the disastrous decision to invade Russia. The Russians do a scorched earth policy. They burn everything and keep retreating eastward. So Napoleon has no supplies that he can get, and he's surrounded by bleak Russia as winter is about to come. He realizes that he cannot sustain this. He turns around, and the march back to France is just deadly through the French winter, and many of the troops are gone. Shortly thereafter, Russia, Britain, and Austria ally. They defeat him in the Battle of Nations at Leipzig. He abdicates the throne and is taken to Elba, an island. He returns, though, shortly thereafter. He's able to escape. He deposes Louis XVIII, a Bourbon, is put on the throne as the new king of France. So you go all the way back to where you started with Bourbon dynasty, King Louis XVI, his brother, in 1789. He's in charge for 100 days, but the forces of the Allies reconvene. They gather again. They defeat him at Waterloo in Belgium. He is then exiled to St. Helena, where he'll die. This is 1815 when he's finally defeated at Waterloo. He goes to St. Helena, where he'll die in 1821. And Waterloo, that term, that word is synonymous with a final defeat. That's where you have to understand that whenever you hear Waterloo, someone's Waterloo, they're talking about their final defeat. His legacy, it's huge. All right, France is a centralized state with a constitution, which is what people in Germany want, people in Italy want, and that's what it was under Napoleon. Elections were held and expanded, and there was limited voting rights, more voting rights than under the Ancien regime for sure. All right, citizens had more rights to property and access to education. When peasants get land under the National Assembly and the convention, Napoleon lets those peasants keep that land. So again, this is an advancement past the situation under the Ancien regime and nationalist feelings. All right, there was nationalist pride in France from the revolution, from his military successes, but his trying to suppress nationalism encourages it in other European countries. The fact that all these German people have to get together to fight him, and the fact that he abolishes the Holy Roman Empire, that's going to contribute to German nationalism big time. Okay. Congress of Vienna. So they all gather. The leaders, you're talking about Russia and Prussia. It's nice because they rhyme. Austria, England, which is their traditional rival, and Spain get together with Talleyrand from France. And this Talleyrand was very, very shrewd. He's able to establish France with King Louis XVIII of Bourbon on the throne as an equal player in Europe, not an embarrassed, defeated loser. They do have to pay a lot of money, but they are on equal footing, relatively equal footing with the other monarchies. They are all about restoring the status quo. They are conservative to reactionary. Reactionaries want to turn back the clock. Well, the clock is turned back because you have all these monarchs that Napoleon deposed and the Bourbon dynasty in France all take their thrones back. And this was called legitimacy, restoring hereditary monarchies. This is conservative to reactionary. This is not about electing leaders or republics. It's about hereditary monarchies. Map of Europe is redrawn. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And the alliance amongst Russia, Prussia, Austria, and England, it's called the Quadruple Alliance. That's maintained. That holds for a little while. And you're not going to see a Europe-wide war again until World War I, 100 years later. So we watched a video about the Congress of Vienna. The new map, as you can see, modern-day Italy and modern-day Germany not united yet. They're in different states, but France has been hemmed in quite a bit. Closure, you want to think about Napoleon, good for France. Why or why not? That's something you want to look at. There's arguments you can make either way. And so you want to be very familiar and well-versed in both those arguments. So that is our lesson recap, end of an era, the end of the Napoleonic